Hello and welcome to this week's early comic review show. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And we're with infinityfluxcomics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, where every Monday, once the comics have been delivered to our shop and we finish bagging and boarding them, Andy and I divide them up and we go over the ones we think most people want to read, the ones that we most want to read, and we do this spoiler light show where we're going to tell you all the spec reasons you might want the comic, first appearances, major events. But more than that, we're going to tell you about the issue number ones. We're going to tell you about the writing style. We're going to tell you enough about the plot and about the art style to know if that comic is for you. So I want to announce we started another show that we uploaded before this one, which is our top 10 quick picks. That's because some people have wanted just sort of a much faster show. This show is going to remain the way that it has always been, where we're going to give 2 to 3 minutes to every comic. But in doing that, we're going to show off the comic, all the variants, the incentives. I mean, to give a comic 2 to 3 minutes for all the time that the writers and artists put into it, that's not asking a whole lot. But that does make this show end up be 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. We have decided, though, from now on, I'm going to do 10 and Andy's going to do 10. So it's going to be 20 altogether. And then at the end of the show, we will announce all the other comics of note that are out this week as well. So pretty big, pretty exciting week. But before we get into it, I need to plug our website, infinityflux.net, where you can buy these very comics we're talking about. You can also subscribe very easily to comic series. You get 10% off anything that you pre-order. You can even just get certain comic covers that you want. So again, that's at infinityflux.net. So, please throw us a bone, give us a little bit of support. All right, so Andy, you have definitely the comic that I've heard the most about coming up.
This has been kind of a long journey about this one, from the spoiler image that was shown to finally this, because this is actually the variant, but this is the one everybody's talking about, so I'm showing this one off first. This is Spider-Man number 7. And right there on the cover, this is introducing Spider-Boy. So, this is kind of wrapping up the end of the Spider-Verse story arc that Dan Slott and Mark Bagley have been doing. Now, that is explained in this. What is the end of the Spider-Verse? It's a little play on words. I won't give it away. But something as big as the Spider-Verse, it's hard to really get rid of it completely.
I was going to say, is it the true end? I think not.
I think not. Is anything ever the true end in a comic? But the big highlight of this is, of course, Spider-Boy. So I won't get into... because really, we don't know a whole lot about him even still. I won't get into how he appears, but the things I will say is, it seems like maybe he's been around all along. Now, what does that mean? Once again, you have to read to find out, but it's kind of it's an interesting twist that Dan Slott sets up. He has said that this is a character, as long as he's writing comics, he wants to work with this character.
Okay, can you confirm, is this a character we've ever seen before under the mask?
As of so far, no.
Okay, so brand new character. Okay, I think a lot of people want to know that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation. Is it Peter Palmer, or is it, I don't know, Miles, or is it somebody? No, this is a new character. He does say his name is Bailey, but honestly, out of this, he's in maybe a page and a half. This is definitely, it's a first appearance, but it's like there's more coming down the line. So, actually, overall, I thought this was a really good issue. It's a lot of fun. It's very big, climactic into the storyline, but I'm also very interested to see what this book will be going forward now that the storyline is over. So that is Spider-Man number 7. I know a lot of people will be picking this one up with the new character. So yeah, this is the variant by Humberto Ramos with Spider-Boy on the cover. Now, here is actually the A cover. We also have this really nice Alex Ross variant showing off Doc Ock.
With his little pot belly.
Yep, very adorable. We also have this Gomez variant, really cool with the Japanese Spider-Man. And that is that for probably one of the biggest books of the week.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Planet of the Apes. That's right. Marvel Comics has the rights to this. And so this is the first time they have published a Planet of the Apes comic since 1977. So this is from writer David F. Walker with art by Dave Watcher. So we got the team of Daves on this. And what I will say is if you like the movies, you will like this. I am a Planet of the Apes fan. I own a Rod Serling t-shirt, who, of course, is the original writer of Planet of the Apes. So, it's very cerebral. This is not superheroes appearing in Planet of the Apes, nothing like that. This feels a lot like the movies, where it's a lot more about human issues, what makes something conscious, what makes a human versus an animal, and at what point do those lines cross. So this is an origin story. This is set in the years 2011 through 2015, where the apes have been injected with something that's supposed to cure Alzheimer's. We're testing it on them, and instead it causes some of them to become smart. Well, at the same time, a virus hits humanity. A lot of people blame it on the apes. And so you have this faction of people who want to kill all the apes, and then a faction of humans who do not want to and want to protect them. So this jumps around year after year, and you get to see what's going on. That is a lot of what's happening in the first issue. Some of this comes from a soldier who kind of has she's got a heart. She has an ape that she makes friends with. These apes. This isn't before. This is when it isn't when they're talking, but when they're doing sign language. Which I have to say, just on a personal level, that is amazing that we can teach apes sign language, which is a known thing. I mean, that's incredible to me. So anyhow, the art is really good. A lot of cinematic nods in the art is what I would say. Not just he's drawing things from the movies, but it feels like it's supposed to be cinematic, which works because that's the way I've always watched all the Planet of the Apes stuff. So anyhow, I think it's a strong first issue, but if you're expecting it to be superheroes or Marvelized, that's not it. This is definitely for somebody who is into that sort of cerebral Planet of the Apes universe. So,
do you feel like it leans more towards the modern Planet of the Apes, or does this feel like it could go to more of the retro Planet of the Apes look eventually?
It leans more towards the modern.
Okay.
Yep, it definitely does. Okay, so we got some variants here I wanted to show off. Here is the Paquette variant. Here
Trying to do surgery when there's a gorilla over your shoulder yelling at you.
The McCone variant. Also, I wanted to point out there's this new sort of logo up here of 20th Century, and it's on all of them too. That's like a new comic imprint, I guess.
Yeah, I think the Alien and the Predator comics will also have that.
Here is the Codename window shades variant. And then we also have this 1 in 25 La Roca variant we're selling to our customers for $25 while supplies last.
That's pretty classic Planet of the Apes with that one.
For sure.
Okay, next up is our second issue of Adventures of Superman, John Kent. This is issue number 2 of the miniseries. And this is where things really get going. So last issue, Val Zod and Red Tornado from Earth 2 showed up saying they need John Kent's help because Ultraman is going through the multiverse killing off Kal-El Supermans. And they believe that John can be the one to stop him. John has a history with Ultraman. He's the one who basically was there as he aged up, was kind of kept him contained to that lava world and everything. Really interesting. So John Kent has a lot invested in finding Ultraman. Well, in this one, this is when they head out going to find him. And happy to say it does not take long. This is not going to be a build-up thing. This has the fight between John and Ultraman in it right away. Ultraman is brutal, but I'll say something happens in this that maybe changes the status quo or the what you think the series is going to be about at the end that I thought was really fun. You can see on the cover, it talks about injustice. Yes, we're leading up to John interacting with the Injustice video game / comic universe, which is also really, really cool. So I really enjoyed Vintage Superman, John Kent number 2. We've got some variants for this as well. So this is the John Timms variant, father and son. We've got the This is the Silva variant. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Are you looking at Ultraman or Superman? You got to make sure you can see the chest.
Yes, the chest.
And then this is the Orzu variant. And lastly, we have this 1 in 25 Perkins variant we have for $15. And the other key thing about this is the suit does appear in this. His blue suit does appear. Briefly, you'll have to find out what that means, but you do see it for the first real time in this.
He has it on, and Lois is like, let's go skinny dipping. It's right off. It's gone. Next scene. Okay, so I read Batman issue 134. This, of course, is by the team of Chip Zdarsky and Mike Hawthorne. This cover is very telling. So on it, we have Red Mask, who is sort of the main villain of this other universe that Bruce Wayne has been thrown into. But behind him is somebody with green eyes, who is someone Batman definitely knows, somebody who's very formidable, who he has to go up against in this universe. This issue, a lot is revealed. I like how fast-paced the storytelling has been on this. I like that Zdarsky is not just like stretching things out.
Yeah.
Because Bruce Wayne thinks that Red Mask is that world's Joker, who is known in that world as Darwin Holiday. He's a normal business guy. Well, Bruce doesn't think that's true. He thinks, nope, you know, if you're a Joker in my universe, you're a Joker in this universe. If you read this issue, you will find out. Red Mask takes the mask off. You learn who it is. You learn what his multiversal plan is, the whole shebang. Past that, Batman is searching Arkham, which is sort of the tower Red Mask rules everything over. And as Batman searches Arkham, he comes upon a lot of other villains and heroes from across the DC universe.
That's fun.
You get to see their versions in this.
Yes. Two of the DC universe.
And Batman has to take a few of them on, and a few of them are heavy hitters. In fact, one I would say is probably one of the heaviest hitters in the DC universe. And Batman has to take them all on. In fact, this is a really dangerous issue for Bruce, and he does not make it out of this issue unscathed. And I mean more than a broken nose, more than a simple cut. He really gets some damage that is lasting in this issue. So another great, thrilling issue of Batman. I highly recommend it. This run has been really, really good. It's not the end of the arc, though. It has at least one more issue. So here are the variants. We have the Quesada variant. We have the Art Germ variant with Punchline. And then, yes, it is the April
Fool's. This one, right?
I think even I draw better than this. This is the Tom King April Fool's variant. So they're doing a whole series of these. I have one other I'm going to show you for different books over the next few weeks. So if you just have a lot of disposable income and you really like a good joke and a bad cover, these are available as well. They're definitely a conversation piece. Here's the one from Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, number 7 this week.
It's a very serious Batman and a very kooky Joker.
Yep. So.
Those are great.
I'm sorry. And then here's the 1 in 25 Frank Cho variant for $20.
It's very nice.
Yeah, and this is sort of the Selena Kyle of this universe. Her hair is a bit different. Her expressions are a little different. Hawthorne is doing a good job of differentiating, actually. And then there is a foil of that Art
That's
Germ.
really nice.
Yes, this one looks great in person. It's sort of a purple pinkish
I was about to say, that's
foil.
A color foil I haven't seen them use before.
So
and
this
it's
is
very
the
nice.
1 in 50, and we're selling it for $40.
That's really cool. Okay, next up for me is our first of these new Disney villains books, starting off with Scar, number 1, actually from Dynamite Entertainment. This is by Chuck Brown, and the art's by Trevor Fraley. And I thought this was really good. When you say, oh, there's going to be, essentially a Lion King comic.
I've been waiting to hear about this. So, okay, when's it set?
This is set before Lion King, the movie. I would say Simba has been born at this point. He knows basically, I'm not going to be king now. Mufasa has had a son, and this picks up with Scar being pretty, he's a bad guy overall. Like he's the way he treats the people in the savannah, the other animals, is really dark. I remember someone in like a video I watched one time being like, so the animals like their king is a lion, but also the lions hunt them and stuff. And it's like, well, that's the circle of life. Scar just kind of hunts them for sport and because he's bored and frustrated. And it's very dark. He's still got Chuck Brown does a great job with kind of his witty talk and his Scar's very intelligent.
I can hear the voice right now.
So good. But in this, it's really picking up with Scar coming to terms with I'm not going to be king. So what am I doing with my life? Like what I'm kind of lost. But we see the plans start formulating about, hey, maybe there is a workaround where I can put myself in a place to become king. Also, some situations that happen to Scar are very similar to what happened to Mufasa, where maybe this is where he gets some ideas about his master plan, like maybe there's a, stampede of wildebeests that he thinks that could have been lethal. Really cool. There's like some new characters that are introduced in here, some buzzards that feel like I could automatically hear their voices. Like you could have told me those are directly from the movie, and I'd be like, oh yeah. I even question like, were those in the movie somewhere? But it looks like we are leading up to Scar meeting the hyenas for the first time. Overall, the art was fantastic in this. Really, it was a nice mix of not exactly like the animation, but recognizable enough with its own comic flair. So I really do recommend Scar #1. This was a very good book. I mean, you've got a great writer on it with Chuck Brown.
Yeah.
So I really suggest picking up this for something new, different, and I think a lot of people are going to be talking about.
And comic fans out there, okay, do what I do. You know, I have my friends who like comic adjacent things. And when things like this come out, like, oh, you're a Disney file, but you don't really read comics, this is your chance. Hold them into comics.
Yeah.
Have them get bit by the bug. They will thank you for it later.
So we've got a lot of covers for these. This one is just, it doesn't have the name on it. It's just the cover E. I think you can look it up to see which ones they are. We have this one. Rafiki does make an appearance in here, and it's really fun to see what their relationship is. I believe this is the Inyuk Lee variant. It's funny, even when they do other characters, you can really tell the artist. This is the Darbo variant. Then we have a 1 in 10 Nakayama variant that we are selling to our customers for $10. We have a 1 in 15 Lindsay black and white variant that we're selling to our customers for $10. And lastly, we have the 1 in 10 Amanda Connor variant. Really cool that we are selling to our customers for $10.
All right, I'm going to talk about an indie series next, too. It is Hairball from Dark Horse.
Mufasa and Scar probably had some hairballs.
This is what, this is the descendant of Scar. So this is a 4-issue miniseries by Matt Kent with art by Tyler Jenkins, who I believe did the cover here. And this cover is very much like the interior art, except it is a lot darker. I mean, with this, you can tell, oh, you're trying to be nice, but look at that severed finger. The interior art is much, much darker. And so the plot of this one, it is about a girl named Anna who has just been adopted by a couple who, for some reason, cannot have a kid of their own. And the same day they adopt Anna, a stray cat shows up. A mysterious stray cat shows up and becomes the house cat. And his name is Bestie. Well, Anna acts like she can talk to Bestie. She acts like Bestie actually tells her things and sort of commands her a little bit. You get that idea. Some of this is told through Anna talking with her psychiatrist, and you can tell this is sort of, those talks are in the future, and we're learning little bits of what happened.
What drove them to here.
Yeah. And there's a lot of strife in the family, okay? Things start out nice enough, but Anna has some learning disabilities. She has some social problems, and because of money that the parents have to spend on that and other marital woes, it starts driving a wedge between them. The dad's, starts drinking. It's just not a good situation. Meanwhile, Bestie is up to all kinds of things. He has these two parasitic helpers that really creep you out. So what I'll say is it's not like he goes on a killing spree in this issue. This is very slow burn, okay? Not a lot happens as far as violence or what the cover would have you, but it's very foreboding. The art style's foreboding. Instead of it being full-size panels, the pages are shrunk in with black all around them, and all that black makes it feel very oppressive. I think it's a really good use of not using all the paneling.
Yeah.
Funny enough, some of the pages don't have paneling at all. It gives them sort of a dark dream quality to it. So it's that good art style to creep you out. The story, Matt Kent is a good writer. I read everything he does. Sometimes his stuff starts out the gate with a lot of a punch. This is more of a he's easing you into it, but I bet you that more is going to happen by issue 4 than what you expect. So that is what Hairball #1 is about. I guess a little bit in the vein of Stray Dogs, just completely different art style, not really playing off the blue stuff, but definitely people's love of cats who are also scary, independent.
I know the way you're
beasts
saying like foreboding
who
and
are
everything. It's
ambivalent.
like you're just describing a cat, calculating foreboding. It's not violent right away, but they're plotting the whole time.
There you go. And there is just one variant for this, but it is the Simmons variant from Something's Killing the Children.
Department of Truth.
Department of Truth. That's more what I meant. And from what I've seen, this is a pretty uncommon variant. There weren't many up online, so if you want this, you might want to grab it up quick.
Okay, another one I was very excited to read. This is Star Wars Hidden Empire #5. This is the final part in Hidden Empire, and the final part in Charles Soule's trilogy. Started off with War of the Bounty Hunters, Crimson Empire, or Crimson Reign, and then Hidden Empire, because it came out the same time as the Daredevil one that also had Devil's Reign and Crimson Reign came out at the same time. But no, this is the final part of that story. And I will say it was not what I expected. Not in a bad way, but I kind of figured it out as we were going along through this series that what they were alluding to was going to happen was actually not going to happen. If you read it, you'll figure that out. But so what's really cool in this is Vader and Palpatine actually they're heading towards the Fermata cage, which is supposed to be housing and the spirit of an ancient Sith that they're going to try to that Kira's going to try to unleash to kind of mess with the galaxy and take down the other Sith. Well, this is there's a little bit of a trap aspect in here that Kira has set up to draw Vader and Palpatine to this place. But it's very cool to see even Palpatine in action with his lightsaber. He kind of has a comment to Vader of like, I've missed this. He just sits in a chair a lot. But the big things in this, Vader faces off against Dr. Aphra, who is still under the control of the Spark Eternal, if you've been reading her series. But it's a really cool way of merging those series together at this point.
I haven't seen those two come together.
Yeah.
Because, she was avoiding Vader for the longest time.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see she actually gets some pretty good blows in against Vader. Also, we find out what is the fate of Kira. I know that's been kind of a thing the whole time is like, how is this going to end for her? We know this is the story of her downfall and Crimson Dawn's downfall. We find out what happens there as well. And one of the big mysteries to this entire thing is there were two characters listening to this story as kind of bookends. They were shrouded the whole time. They would make comments, but you couldn't tell at what angle they were learning from this. And we find out who those characters are.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yep.
Clearly.
Yep. Bert and Ernie. But this definitely, it ends the story like there's a definitive end to it. But there is a few things that are dropped along the way that definitely could be picked up elsewhere. Some kind of, oh, did you just see that? What was that in the background type thing that I think makes it really fun. But overall, I don't want to say I'm glad it's over, but it's nice to finish off this series before we go into the next big story arc in Star Wars. So that is issue number 5.
Yeah, Charles Soule, you can tell he really likes Kira a lot.
Yes.
So
we have this, what they call the battle variant, and really cool, I didn't even notice, it is Vader versus Aphra on the cover. We have the final part of our connecting variant with Vader and Palpatine. And other characters that do make an appearance in this. This is the 1 in 25 Lopez travel variant with the Knights of Ren that we are selling to our customers for $25.
okay, so I read Venom issue number 18. This has a first appearance, a full first appearance, rather, something that had a cameo last issue, which called itself the Eventuality. So if you're looking for all the sort of Venom, symbiote, King in Black sort of first appearances, I would definitely grab this one to get the Eventuality. This is also a good, very trippy issue. So Al Ewing wrote this one. You know, him and Ram V have been sort of going back and forth writing Venom. Al Ewing writes the Eddie Brock. He is in the weird Meridius place, sort of big stories. This one is pretty eventful, some of the things that he has come up in this, because he goes over more about the history of Null, but more than that, the history of the Kings in Black completely. He also adds to this mythos with the Kings in White, who are powerful entities that the Marvel Universe has seen before. I'll give you a hint. Think Secret Wars. So yeah, now there's not just the Kings in Black, there's the Kings in White. And it's kind of neat to see this all just blown up even further and even further back. So, you know, there's a lot to take in, but it's not hard to read this issue. You know, this is definitely one where Ewan's like, I have some big ideas, but I want you to understand them and what's all at stake for Eddie going forward. So the art is great. The artist who just goes by Cafu, Cafu, does very good art in this, to tell you the truth. So just a lot more of the history of Null and all the different things that Eddie can be one day. So cool issue of Venom number 18.
Is it the end of a story arc? It sounds like a kind of a climactic.
Maybe, to tell you the truth, but I don't think so. I mean, Eddie kind of makes a big choice of what he's about to do, and I don't know if it's in one more issue he does it or the next arc is what he's about to do. It feels a little hard to determine that. So here is the Scotty Young variant. And then we have the Alex Ross Timeless variant with the lizard.
Classic lizard, too, with the kind of goobery face.
Looks like Kirk could meet him on a planet if he just didn't have the lab coat on.
It's like if Kermit got bit by a radioactive bat or something. He turns into that. Okay, next up I have Mirka Andolfo's Sweet Paprika Red, White, and Pink. So not a whole lot to say about this one, but if you have read Sweet Paprika, Mirka Andolfo's Sweet Paprika, you'll definitely want to be picking this one up. The series ended last year sometime, I believe, but I like to see that this is so popular, it's continuing, at least in this one shot, much like the Marvel Black, White, and Red, or DC has done those. This is all with Black, White, and Pink. Now, this is a very mature title, just like the original one was, but Mirka Andolfo does one of the stories in here, but there's numerous writers and artists that take on these really fun characters and tell new stories in that universe. So if you are a fan of, I'm a fan of anything Mirka Andolfo does. She's great. I love her art and her writing. So you'll want to pick this one up. It's an oversized issue, so you're getting a lot of extra story in it. We also have this really nice Art Germ variant. And this fantastic Frank Cho variant. I think there's some other variants too. Polybag, there's a sketch variant, so be on the lookout for all of those.
All right, so it's my pleasure to review Poison Ivy issue number 11. This was a really good issue. This might have been my favorite read of the week. This is by G. Willow Wilson with art by Marcio Takara. Both the writing and the art are elevated. I feel like this team, they're like, yeah, we're 11 issues in, but we don't want anyone to forget this series. So last issue, Ivy and her West Coast roommate, they go to sort of a female's health retreat. And during that time, some things go down to where they all do psychedelic mushrooms, and it kind of turned into an orgy. I kid you not. But it is one where it is just it's very reminiscent of sort of like old Alan Moore Swamp Thing, where it's like minds melding, and it's on a very deep level. And that's a lot of what elevates this book. That and the art. The art is just incredible. There are some really awesome, colorful, inventive pages. You have side characters who ask very deep, interesting questions that don't just get forgot about. A lot of this is about sort of why can people get along well when they're all high together, but then in regular life we have fighting and war, and it's stuff where it's like, wow, is this just a DC comic? Like, this feels like a really good indie comic. So for those of you who remember the good old 90s, this feels like a Vertigo book. I don't often compare stuff to Alan Moore Swamp Thing. But great issue, and if you haven't been reading the series, I think it started pretty good, but I think it has gotten better as it goes. So that's about all I got to say on Poison Ivy issue number 11. We have some nice variants as well. We have the Reader variant. We have the McKinnon variant.
I want to see that as like a 6-foot, on canvas painting.
Like a Renaissance
It
painting.
is.
And then we have the 1 in 25 David Nakayama variant that we are selling for $25.
What I like about the Poison Ivy series, it feels like a book and a team working on the book that are fighting higher up in your stack of to be read. It's like, yeah, we know we're this many issues in, but you're going to want to read us. It's like a constant, like, reminding you this is why we're so good.
I've said they're fighting with the variant team. The variant team's like, we're going to do these awesome variants. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we're going to write this and draw this so well. No one's going to care about your variants.
Yeah.
And then it just elevates the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a team that, is very passionate about the character and the story they're telling. Okay, next up, I have... I believe it's... Make sure I get these in the right order. Yep. Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue number, I believe, 23. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 23. See, there's some Fantastic Four on the cover. So, this deals with the fallout from what we learned, what happened with Peter and Mary Jane in the last one, where they got separated, and the what did Peter do? We're starting to see that kind of in a bigger light. So he tried to sacrifice himself to send Mary Jane back to this portal, back to their universe, but she switched it out. He got sent back, and she is stuck in that dark, evil version, nightmare version of the universe. And this is Peter really losing it, thinking that somehow this is his fault. He's got to figure out a way to get back there. And really kind of uncharacteristic things for Peter to do in this. He's such at like a breaking point that when we originally read this, you're like, why is, Aunt May so mad at him? Why is, why is his life so bad again? What happened? You start to see some of that. Even why the Avengers may have a problem with him now, with the way that he is acting because of this. So I'll be interested to see how it continues, to see kind of how they justify a lot of his actions, because this is very dark, desperate Peter. But he does go see the Fantastic Four, trying to get their help. But thankfully, since his suit was so destroyed before, it looks like the Fantastic Four just constantly keep a backup suit for Spider-Man, which seems like, yeah, that would happen. So that is Amazing Spider-Man number 23. We also have this really nice Bachalo variant. If he's that high up, what is that spider hanging off of? like a passing by helicopter, or who knows. We also have more of our Disney 100th anniversary covers. This time with Pete the Cat in the role of Thanos. I love Pluto is Silver Surfer. Really fun. And we also have a Alex Ross timeless variant, this time with Mysterio. And I even like, if you look at it close enough, you can see the face inside of the helmet.
Yeah.
That's some very hard painting to do to make it that subtle. But looks great. A very interesting issue of Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay, so wrestling fans. Here's a new comic called Codename Ric Flair Magic 8-Ball. This is just a one-shot. It's a good one and done, but it has an ending that allows for it to be continued if enough people like it. So the premise to this is that Ric Flair is actually using wrestling to be a secret worldwide agent working for the United States. It starts out telling a little bit of his origin. It doesn't start where back when he's a boy or any he's a young boy, but he's sort of an amateur wrestler. He's not very good, and there's a plane crash where the U.S. government uses as an opportunity to sort of select him to turn him into sort of a Captain America individual. I mean, we're talking super serum, all that, but also they give him a truth serum. There's a really good scene where an army guy is sort of asking him, what do you want out of life? And he's pumped full of truth serum, so he has to admit, you get to see that Ric Flair ego, even when he's kind of a little nobody. So they turn him into somebody. So fast forward 10 years, and the second half of the comic is him on a mission where he is going up against a drug cartel who have been smuggling their cocaine using magic 8-balls. Yeah, the things that you shake and they tell you your future. There's a little bit of humor to this, but it's not like too jokey. You know, it's more spy action than it is jokey. It's pretty nice for a one and done. Once again, this is another one where if you have friends who kind of like comics, kind of don't, but they love wrestling, they love Ric Flair, grab them this. It has a couple great covers. It's a good read and a nice one and done too. You know, you don't have to worry about signing up and where will this go and are they setting up something even bigger. But I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of this Codename Ric Flair. I bet you there's going to be
Goldberg
more.
the Barbarian, or
that would be
the
good.
Undertaker in space.
So here are some of the variants. We have the Rubin variant. We have the Duarte variant. You can hear the woo from here. And so check this out. There's a secret variant. I have not heard anyone talk about this online yet. There were none online when we looked earlier today. I think we're probably going to sell this for $15. Not 100% on that, but yeah, it's sort of like an old VHS copy. They just snuck this into our order. There was only one of them. Megan does a whatnot show where she sells stuff after we're done with this, so you may see that on there. Otherwise, it might be on our website, or it probably is going to sell real quick.
Yeah.
So, but look for this at wherever you shop. This secret variant. Ask them about it. Your shop might even not even know if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, it's like you look at the UPC and everything. It just says it's an A cover.
Yep.
Even though it's different. Next up, I've got Scarlet Witch number 4. Continues to be a fantastic series, and we're starting to learn some of the backstory of Darcy. So just like in Amazing Spider-Man, it's what did Peter do? This is interesting because it's what did Darcy do? The character that originated in the MCU. Now it plays a pretty pivotal role in Scarlet Witch. Scythia shows up and is seeking revenge against Darcy. She appeared in the last issue, the last page, kind of a cameo. This is, I think, a full appearance of Scythia, or a version of her that we see. And it goes through what Darcy did and what brought her to the doorway that leads into Wanda's shop. You have to basically be on your last leg to walk through that door. You have to be at your most desperate. We find out what made Darcy that most desperate to get in there. Very interesting. And this sets up something that I would have almost thought this series was supposed to come out closer to WandaVision, because something very WandaVision is set up in this. When you read it, you'll immediately know what I'm talking about. But I am looking forward to what this means and how Scarlet Witch's universe is built around this. So very cool. But at first you think, oh, this is the end of a story arc, but no. Last couple of pages, you see that it's kind of seems like it's just getting started. So that is Scarlet Witch number 4. We've got our variants for this. This is the Lee variant. And we have, this one is great. This is the Alex Ross Timeless variant with Wanda's father, Magneto.
The confidence and the smugness.
So smug. There's like screws and barbed wire floating around his head when he does that.
Okay, so I read Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones issue number 2. So issue number 1 had the first appearance of the Spider-Oc, which is a cross between Spider-Gwen and Doc Ock. This one has the first full appearance of Sand-Gwen. So it is Sandman mixed with Spider-Gwen. So what generally happened in the first issue is this takes place in Spider-Gwen's Marvel universe. Okay, this is in her universe where somehow the Sinister Six had made it to her universe. She fought them off, but there was a scientist nearby, some innocent bystander scientists, which good luck being a scientist in the Marvel universe and nothing happening to you. They got killed. Goes a few weeks later. Gwen gets attacked by the Gwen-Oc. And last issue, she finds that Gwen-Oc is being controlled by a device, pulls it off of her, and now the two they have teamed up. They've gotten that world's Reed Richards in on it, and last issue, the Sand-Gwen had appeared. Well, this issue, they got to fight Sand-Gwen. They got to figure out a way to defeat this one. They know that she's not evil. They know she's probably being controlled by a device, but by who? Let's just say you'll have to read it to find out. And at the end of the issue, looks like there's a cameo of 3 more Sinister Six Gwens to come. So that is generally what's going on in Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones issue number 2. We have these variants. Here is the Greg Land variant. And then here is the 1 in 10 Momoko design variant. We're selling for $10.
And there's another Star Wars book out this week. This is Star Wars number 33. This wraps up the current story arc where Luke and the gang have been stuck in no space, very much tied with the High Republic stories, and you'll have to see how they escape. It's not a spoiler, they escape. We know we're leading up to Return of the Jedi. They got to get out of there somewhere. But at the end of the last issue, Luke's lightsaber and his hand, thankfully it's the robotic one, got crushed by a droid. Now Luke is without a functioning lightsaber. What does that mean? Looks like in the next story arc, he's going to be on the road to building his iconic green lightsaber. So very excited about that. There's just a lot of fun stuff that happens in this one, especially between Holdo and Lando. Just continues to be a great series. I'm really looking forward to the next story arc. So that's Star Wars number 33. And we've got some variants for this one. We have the John Tyler Christopher action figure variant with Captain Tarples. Which, I mean, as long as he's on Star Wars, John Tyler Christopher, he has unlimited characters to draw. Like, yes. This is a lifetime gig for him. And we also have a 1 in 25 Alan Qua variant that we're selling to our customers for $25.
Okay, so I read Flash issue number 796. This is the 1 Minute War finale. It all ends here. So this, of course, is by the team of Jeremy Adams and Roger Cruz. And so in this issue, you get to learn the fate of Wally West and where he ends up. You also get to learn what is Planet Flash. Okay, there was a little cameo of it at the end of last issue. This issue, they go into what exactly is it. And I have to say, so Jeremy Adams and Roger Cruz are off Flash after issue 800. I hope that Planet Flash is sort of one of the things they leave behind that get used again and again. I think it may be. I'll tell you, it has, at least in this issue, something to do with Gold Beetle, who's
Oh,
pretty prominent in this issue. So back to the war, though, it is the rest of the Flash family. They're losing pretty bad to the faction. However, help is on the way. Everything does get wrapped up and resolved this issue, except for one thing. A little race between two speedsters who haven't raced before begins this issue.
fun.
So that's what's going on in Flash 796. And we have this variant. This is the Montanez variant. Haven't seen this person doing Flash variants too much, I don't think. And here's another one. This is the D. Niculo variant.
Okay, I've got Ghost Rider number 13. So this is, I think, a pretty one people are excited about because Danny Ketch there on the cover. What is going on with him?
Yeah, do they go into that? Like,
Well,
is it the
a lot of people are speculating it was Weapon X
Right.
related. So I think that is still yet to be determined. This is definitely setting up a pretty big story where we're flashing like current day and then 6 months ago. The current day, we've got Johnny Blaze, who's trying to investigate some stuff going on. A mysterious, flaming-headed person's going through and terrorizing. Then we see 6 months before, where a scientist comes to Danny Ketch and basically like, if you sign on to do this program, it's not called Weapon X. It has another name. We can basically get your life back on track. And you'll have to see kind of how they persuade him to do that. They definitely do test him to make sure he's the right guy. That part's really fun. But once again, there's not much Ghost Rider in this. You mostly get leading up to him turning into it and then him waking up. So I feel like they're really kind of building up what his Ghost Rider is going to be going forward. That maybe is a little bit different. But I think one of the fun parts is in the current day, War Road and Johnny go to this seems like a music store, and there's something weird going on. War Road puts on some headphones where you can like sample the music, and she falls over in incredible pain. And Johnny puts on the headphones, and he hears the most dark metal song ever written, and it literally makes his face melt. So you'll have to read to find out. Very funny, but in that like really like almost like a B movie. Like I could see Peter Jackson doing a great job with that scene. But that is Ghost Rider number 13, really starting this Danny Ketch storyline. We also have the Walsh variant. And I think that is the only one I have for that one currently.
All right, so we didn't mean this, but we were like bookended for a moment with Ghost Rider books. You did Ghost Rider. I'm about to review Cosmic Ghost Rider, issue number 2 of the latest Cosmic Ghost Rider miniseries. So this is written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Juan Cabal. And what I'll say is this has an appearance by a character we don't see too often. It is Monarch Starstalker.
Wow.
The old Howard Chaykin sort of, space. What is he? He's kind of a space bounty hunter. So, yeah, you don't really see Monarch Starstalker too much. And somebody's going to approach him to hire him to stop Cosmic Ghost Rider. Because if you read issue number 1, you know that there's a different one than Frank Castle, or might be different than him. But there is a different one who has just been killing villains left and right. I mean, just brutally. And so Monarch gets hired. Now, this also goes back to Frank Castle, who had to deal with the first bounty hunter after him last issue, who shot and killed the father of a new friend of his named, Axel. Well, Axel has a lot of questions for Frank this issue, especially with her father getting killed. But they're going to have to fight their way out of where they're at. So a lot of good action to this issue. Still not a lot of answers to how there are 2 Cosmic Ghost Riders, but you can't expect that so early in the series. So that is what's going on in Cosmic Ghost Rider number 2. And as far as variants, we have... Oh, also, there is a guest star making a cameo at the end who's going to be in the next issue more. It's in Asgardian, but not Thor. I'll leave you with that. So here is the Yoon variant. And then here is the Piccolo variant, which is both a Stormbreakers variant and a Groot variant. They're getting a 2-in-1 on this one.
Okay, and I knew I had another variant for Ghost Rider. This is the Rod Rice variant, because I knew there's a really cool one with the giant sword. That is the Rod Rice variant for that. And the other one, and my last one to mention, is Saga. Saga issue 63 is out this week. Continues to be full of page-turning, shocking moments. I can assure you in this one, you will be surprised a couple of times in this book from what you see, but continues to be a really fun story. Okay, so my last one and the 20th book that we will have reviewed today, before we tell you about the other ones coming out, is Joe Fixit number 4, which is from writer Peter David with art by Yildiray Cinar. This is another great... I've really enjoyed this series. It's action-packed. It has that sort of 90s dialogue, but on the good end of it. Yeah.
A lot of joking, a lot of quipping, a lot of people saying, just the right thing at the right time with the right punchiness. This issue, Peter has to try to get Joe Fixit under control by talking to the inner Bruce Banner in him. How often does that happen with Hulk? And meanwhile, Kingpin continues trying to take over Las Vegas. This time, he has brought the Rhino and Electro in. There's a big old battle with everybody at the end, but then some villains who you don't expect show up as well. So another good issue of Joe Fixit. And then check out this variant here. This is the Gonzalez variant. Look at Hulk's face. Like, man, he's got some work done in Vegas. They really, they made him look real good. Okay, so that is the 20 comics that we went over, but that is not all that's releasing. We're going to mention a lot of the other ones right now, starting with also releasing this week, Avengers War Across Time number 4.
Also, we have Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty number 11. That's a prelude to the Cold War storyline.
I Am Iron Man number 2.
We have Immoral X-Men number 3, wrapping up that 3-issue miniseries.
And he did say immoral, not immortal. This is still the Sins of Sinister plot line. Rogue and Gambit number 2 is out this week. I really wanted to read that, but I stopped at 10 books.
We have Wolverine number 32, showing Wolverine facing off against Beast, and now his clones of Wolverine he is commanding.
Another book I will surely read probably by the end of the day. Batman and the Joker Deadly Duo number 6 is out this week.
Also a book I know you read, the issue 1 of you really liked, Icon versus Hardware number 2 is out.
That did have a very good first issue. Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing number 7. So if you love Joker, two Joker books in 1 week.
I know there's Batman and the Joker and Joker the Man. We also have Sonic the Hedgehog number 1 5th anniversary edition.
Yep, so it's going to be a facsimile in honor of the title starting. Fables number 158 is out this week.
Yeah, there's a big gap between those issues. Glad it's back. We also have King Spawn number 21.
Savage Dragon issue 265.
And Walking Dead Deluxe issue 60.
So if you're looking for a place to order your comics, including the ones we just talked about, head on over to infinityflux.net, where we are selling these very comics while we have them in stock. You can also sign up to subscribe to Comics for the Future, and anything you subscribe to, you get 10% off. We very much would appreciate that. So again, that's at infinityflux.net. So this is our normal review show. This is sort of our long form show. We are now doing another show that we put on before this one where we just go over the top 10 comics. We call it our top 10 quick picks. So if you don't have time for this show, you can watch that show. We're trying to give everybody what they want. If you have any suggestions for anything that you'd like to see us do, just let us know. We're trying to improve our show every which way this year. We got the good audio back after I accidentally destroyed our digital recorder the other week. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe And thank you very much. We'll be back on Friday with Comics from the Future, the show where we show all the comics that are available to order. We will see you then.